That was good. All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Neil. Welcome, Matt. This is the mere office hours of August the 29th. And it looks like it's going to be quick in terms of agenda. We don't really have too much to talk about. Nobody asked, but if once we're gone through that, then anything else that pops up, we can talk about. Okay, so now first we have actions from previous meetings, and thank you, Neil, for that whole list of things about decorations. We are actually looking through those now, and we'll be deciding on our approach to this soon. We'll solicit feedback from you and anybody else. I suppose we'll publish it on Discourse and get feedback from other communities. So that's that bit. We also had a couple other protocols to review. Some of them landed in the meantime. Neil said that SDL3 requires FIFO and commit timing. Fortunately, well, I suppose it didn't land yet, so but it will happen. So we have to look at getting them in.
Yeah, that's why I gave you guys the heads up, because those protocols are stuck in Wayland Protocol Review, and of course, Wayland Protocol Review requires implementations and acts and all that other fun stuff. But SDL3 has decided to gate actually functioning Wayland support on those protocols being expressed by the compositor. So, for better or worse, it is now effectively required.
Yeah. Okay, and then that's, I think, basically it, right? Well, there is the revision of the decoration protocol, and that's a big one, I suppose. And there's the session management protocol. What's the status of those, actually?
Session management's at the point where it just needs implementation and acts. At this point, it seems like the protocol is more or less finalized. Oh, that's the decoration protocol.
That's the decoration, yeah. But yeah. So let's do this.
So session management at this point, I put a comment at the very bottom of this. Actually, not that long thread. Oh no, there we go. There's the comments loading. Yay, GitLab!
140 comments.
Which is actually not bad. That's not bad for Wayland.
Discussion.
22 unresolved threads.
Yeah, so at this point, we have implementations staged for GTK and Mutter and Quinn. And so we don't, I think, the requirement is that there needs to be three implementations and 3 acts and a review from a Wayland Protocol member, and Mir is one of those. So would be nice if you can pencil in some time to take a look at it. Because people are getting touchy about the fact that this protocol hasn't landed yet. And I mean, I don't blame them. This protocol actually was first proposed almost 10 years ago. It predates the deployment of the GitLab instance. So it's a long time coming. But also, at least on the KDE side in particular, this protocol landing and being finalized is blocking the completion of a bunch of features. And I know that for other desktops that want to adopt Wayland, and I'm looking at particularly around Mir adoption, this would be actually a really good highlight for them to consider Mir as a compositor, is that this stuff all works, and you don't have to work very hard to plug it all in. Working with Matt so far, even on Miracle, I've had to fix broken code, and it wasn't actually that bad to do. So so there's that. So yeah, I would like to ask that if you guys can find some time.
So Chris did actually look at it, right? He did leave some comments on here actually 7 months ago, but I will ask him to kind of come back to it. The last comments he left are 2 months ago, and yeah, let's see what we can do.
Yep, that's all
And
I can ask for.
And then decoration v2. We just went through implementing SSDs, and I suppose saw some of those deficiencies. Like adding this would probably be trivial if we think it's if we think it's the right direction.
Yeah, I have not yet formed an opinion about XDG decoration v2 personally. From my guess, it is motivated by the fact that it is being motivated by the fact that people really want the KD decoration protocol to die. Everybody wants it to die, and the only reason it's still around is because GTK implements it. We don't even use it in KDE anymore, but we still have to keep it because GTK uses it.
Cool. All right. So I think that's basically it from last time. Okay. All right. So then I wanted to give you all a 2.18 update. We ran through it and discovered some deficiencies in a couple of our implementations of the new protocols. So that's what we are fixing, but we are very close. By now, we're just down to one missing case, and that is actually updating the scale live for fractional scale. When you change the scale in the mirror display config or whatever happens, we need to tell the clients. And the other is like we're fighting with a RISC-V build test issue and trying to not skip it, because if we do, then we will have it skipped for eternity. So we're just spending some extra amount of time to get it through. But other than that, we should be ready with 2.18 to start releasing it again next week. Basically, we will rebranch from master because like everything that's happened between when we branched it a couple weeks or 3 weeks ago and now should just go in. So it will.
Okay, so you're starting from. So that was you preempted a question I was going to have. It's like, what are you starting 2.18 from? Because you had a branch for like a month.
Right. So we're basically going to rebase that on master. There's enough changes that cherry picking is just going like, yeah, basically
it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So to kind of give you a timeline heads up here when it comes to between Fedora, because we now have Fedora Miracle coming and stuff like that, which is cool. And I keep fixing things. So we can still land Mir 2.18 in Fedora 41 anytime between now and the final freeze, which is essentially at the end of September.
We should definitely get that out.
Yeah.
Would it help? I don't know if we just cut the branch now and you had a release candidate in.
Yes, please. A release candidate out and then Matt updating Miracle to use it would be a huge help, because I can't tell whether there are Miracle bugs or Mir bugs anymore, because I find little broken things all over the place, and I don't know where the broken is happening, and I would just like a new refresh point, because it's really hard.
Yeah, so I will basically rebase to the 2.18 branch on master. That will be our next release candidate, basically. And that's, we might still cherry pick something into it, but at least it will be cherry picks and not just rebases or anything like that.
Yeah, and this means that we will have a basic XDG decoration implementation, right? Like wired in with the original one. Yeah. That should fix a bunch of problems I was having with test applications when I was running through Miracle, because self-decorating does not work as well as you would hope it does. And there were cases where like the application's self-decorations, the buttons didn't work. And so I couldn't close applications. So I really, really want SSDs to be working.
Doesn't help that I turn them off often in Miracle too.
Yeah, I think that is probably not helping. But I mean, it makes the applications do the right thing, but the problem is the right thing is broken. So,
okay.
Like I've encountered a few test applications I was trying to work through, and like the other thing is, since you guys just finished doing the XGG decoration one, I'm gonna ask you if you can slipstream in like some compatibility with the KDE decoration protocol, simply because GTK apparently only respects it. The KDE decoration protocol is essentially a subset of what XGG decoration does, and it provides you the ability to tell it like, hey, I support SSDs, I don't support SSDs, I require, and so on. Like, so there should be an insubstantial amount of work on top of it, but because GTK doesn't implement anything else, we're all kind of stuck. And I really hate asking you to do this, but like, you know,
wouldn't. Well, yeah, you know, I wanted to say that it would be better fixed in GTK, but I know.
You and me both, dude. There are, I believe, 2 separate merge requests in GTK upstream to fix this, and they have been sitting for about a year plus. So, like, yeah, I mean, I think this is the actual motivation for the XGG decoration v2, is because the GTK people just don't want to take v1, even though, you know, it is what everybody uses. Again, not happy about it, but here we are in the land of the broken, and I'm trying to. I just want things to work. I'm sorry.
All right. So then we have the local WAN DBus interface, and we have similar stuff for input coming into master right now. I don't think we didn't plan it for 218. So those input stuff we maybe keep for 219, but based on it, Matt, you should be able to patch local WAN in, like a distro patch, or maybe if it's small enough, then we can actually get just that into 218. What's your thinking?
It's not super big. Like, really, at the end of the day, it boils out to writing it out to the config with everything else. Like, let me back up a second. I don't even think we need to put the DBus interface in the mirror level. We just need to be able to set these 3 variables in mirror. And we could just write them to the config. It's just the layout, the model, the variant, and options, I believe, just those 4. And then you just forward them off to XKB calls, pretty much.
Right, but making it live is the important piece, right? So actually,
it has to be runtime updatable. That's I think the tricky part, is that you don't have a state machine for this.
But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Alan's work makes the input configuration live updatable, right?
It makes it live updatable, but so this would be Miracle telling Mir, I got the signal to update this configuration, and that's it. Something else would have to write to the config file because Mir won't. So those are 2 separate things, right? Persisting it and updating it live are 2 separate things, right?
But could Miracle not write it to the config file too, or
it could? Yes, so I mean,
that was my plan.
The change to Mir is small enough, right? Because it just needs to wire through the XKB config so that Miracle can update it live, and then Miracle can have expose the best interface, basically, right?
I think that's fine. I think that's fine for the initial thing, and then we can look at for 219 to move it down to be a common layer thing, because that'll obviously take bigger work and whatever. But like just having it like working at all in Miracle is important and helpful. So like if we can get an MVP that's like, hey, we have plumbing now, and then Miracle can just wire it up, then we're good.
And what I just described is exactly how Sway does it. So we're not any worse. They just dump it in the config, and then it picks up the stuff later on.
Well, yeah, and the way Sway does it is that their config is constantly re-executed. So that's a whole different thing, which Miracle is not yet doing. But I don't know if I want it to be doing that either.
It auto refreshes though, but it's not constantly. If you change it, it will refresh.
We should talk about that because it's not working.
Well, what file you? Well, anyway, we can talk about that. It depends what file you're changing in.
Well, so the reason, very quickly, side tangent here, and actually kind of important, Mir doesn't set out of the gate the environment variables to tell it it's a Wayland type thing and what type of Wayland environment it is. The what type of Wayland environment it is probably fine that the compositors need to handle, but like being a Wayland type is something that should probably be being set. I tried to set it in the Miracle configuration and it doesn't work. So
the environment variable? Okay.
Yeah, the environment variables are not getting set at all. Like
maybe
just
they
straight
get
up.
overridden.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's three sources at least for those, right? And in order of precedence or decreasing order of precedence, it's the config file, environment variables, and then what's on the command line, right?
Yeah.
So depending on how the session is set up, if you have an option on the command line, it will trump the other ones, right? So maybe that's somewhere, but yeah, like tracing where it gets lost would be interesting. Because it should.
So like when I boot up a Miracle session with the live images that I'm now producing from my computer or from the rawhide images that are available right now through Autocompose, they don't have the variables, and so the applications just choke. I have to set them manually because it can't figure out what's going on.
Okay, we should talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's maybe on my end.
Yeah, I tried to look through the code and I didn't see an obvious place where we actually send the variables out to the environment. So it might be we're just reading them and then doing nothing.
Oh, I think I know. Anyway,
yeah,
we could talk. Yeah,
so,
we'll talk about it later. Anyway.
Well, no. So there is one important bit, right? So those variables as set by Miracle Mirway will only apply to things launched by Miracle or Mirway, right? So if you, depending on how you run, like, so the one thing that we did have in like the Mirway examples is actually updating the DBus and system D environment with those, right? So maybe that's kind of what's missing.
That's what I need. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So
let me update DBus. Blah 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 blah, or DBus update rather.
Yeah, let's see here if I can store the Miracle. I want to. Okay, we still haven't built a new.
So something along those lines, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I could do that.
Yeah, so like, I'm actually going to say, Matthew, we need to actually hard code this. This needs to not be configurable because.
Hardcode what?
Setting the XDG session type, current desktop, and those variables. Those need to not be configurable because, like, I realize that was easy for you to make it configurable, but, like, it basically makes it unpredictable. And so we need to lock those variables down.
So this really needs to be part of the session. So one of the things that I did in somewhere is actually not launch Miracle, Mirway, whatever, straight away, but rather have a wrapper script that sets those up and only then runs the session, right? I think that's still the right way to do it, right? Because then you get a wrapper around the session.
I think I was leaning towards that too, because there's also a couple of other problems that need to be solved by doing this, like making sure the files exist and do the right thing kind of stuff. Like, we've already encountered a couple of bugs where I've actually fixed one that was pretty trivial and annoying. But like, we should probably have some basic session setup program that then launches Mirway. Like, if you look at Quinn, I said Mirway, but I mean Miracle. But like, if you look at Quinn, what happens is that there is a Quinn Wayland wrapper executable. There's a Quinn executable that actually sets up and then delegates to either Quinn Wayland or Quinn X11. We need the same architecture.
Okay, that's easy.
I agree. Because, like, Miracle is not the session.
Right.
Miracle is within the session, right?
Yeah.
Right. So
Yes.
so you want to have like like Sway does this. Fedora Sway. I shouldn't say Sway Upstream, but Fedora Sway. What they do is they have a Python program that's called Start Sway that then actually goes and looks through all the variables and loads them and determines all the other things and then execs Sway itself.
Sway, yeah.
But what I think we should do is this should actually just be straight up built in as a Miracle, as the Miracle main binary. So like we have user bin Miracle win, and then it will start user bin Miracle or whatever we want to call this, and then or start Miracle or Miracle session, maybe user bin Miracle session, and then it starts Miracle win. And Miracle win cannot be started by itself. It has to always be started from Miracle session because.
You can,
well,
but that's not what the session is.
But things don't work right. Enough things don't work right that it's probably not a good idea even for debugging. But and that's a whole other thing we can debate later. Yeah. But we do need we need a session starting executable because like things are not working enough that we just need something to launch it. I mean, I can beat the crap out of it with a silly shell script wrapper, but we do definitely need to replace that with something more robust.
Yeah. I agree. This should be pretty easy to pull off too.
Yeah, no, I don't think that this will be hard. It's just that we got to make sure we have it, and I don't want something like how Miraway does it because Miraway's method,
like Miraway is a toolkit. Like that's basically what it is. Mir is a library. Miraway is a toolkit, and then Miracle is an actual session. Or rather, Miracle is a window manager or display server that you want to put in a session.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily. It doesn't even need to be called Miraway by Miracle. Too many years.
Yes.
Right. Because they're like that's kind of the like it's an onion like Shrek.
Yeah. Well, and also layers of an onion with layers. But like this also the other thing that we need this for is to make sure we set up the portal correctly. Because right now we don't launch a portal, which means Firefox is not working. Which I only figured out. I only figured that out this morning because we don't have anything that tells us to launch XDG Desktop Portal at all, and we don't have anything that configures it to launch the WLR and GTK portals or anything else. So because we don't have anything that starts this stuff, we just don't have a working session for that purpose.
So there's and Neil, maybe you know this because like when I was kind of going in circles about I want to do a session right, as in systemd user that manages everything that is the session.
That is the way to do it.
And there's no way to do it, actually, really, because there's no way to wait on a system because login expects an executable that's long-lived.
Yep.
So what is that executable? What is the process that login waits on? And like I did this in for frame unconfined with confined Jesus. And I will find the link. But anyway, so I went through this, and I even posted to systemd mailing list, like, how should this actually work? Like, what does login wait on if systemd user is the kind of session, right? And like crickets, nobody was interested.
So I think the reason why, well, I don't know why crickets, but I know what's actually going on here. So the flow is backwards from what you're thinking. It's not that login waits on something. It's that when the session slice starts, it goes and asks login for something and it gives it to you. So like the seed is given to you when you launch. So when you have a system to user session service that it then starts up, then it will launch its own subunits, and the subunit can then be said, hey, I want to request a seat from login, and so then login gives it to it when the unit is started. You can see how this works. I can dump some references into the discourse once this meeting is over, but you can see how this is done in both GNOME session and in KDE Plasma Workspace, because Plasma Workspace contains the KDE systemd session code as well. And so I can give examples of how that's done for both, and then can kind of go from there. The WLR roots, the WL roots community has been kind of like apathetic to the whole thing. So there's not really a solution from them. And so this is why we're like, everyone's just kind of, there's a bunch of like made up solutions for this. I mean, like Fedora Sway uses a fork of Sway systemd, which just starts it as a unit, as a user unit, and then does weird things to delegate it. And there's a couple of other options out there that exist, but like in general, there isn't like an independent solution for pulling this off. And I think part of the reason that there isn't one is because in order for a Wayland compositor to do the right thing in terms of consuming the seats, there actually needs to be logic to handle multi-seat. And that is usually a desktop / window manager session management thingamabob. This is where that miracle session binary fits into play here, because it actually handles all that stuff and takes care of it. So I can find those things and then drop in links in the discourse so you can, for both of y'all to review, if that would help.
So this is what I did. Like the slightly tricky bit was here that I actually wanted to auto start that session, and that's why I just needed a tail/dev/null. But also like this, like I found that it's from September last year. Let me see if I can find it on systemd mailing list. Basically, like, and how do you stop it then? Like that was my biggest...
You stop them.
Do you cleanly stop a session when this like and like I got 0 thread stopping. This was my post from the systemd. Anyway, nobody was interested. I don't think anybody cares that much, especially not in the systemd community, about desktops and desktop sessions actually using. Anyway, back to the original topic of key map handling and live updates, because in theory we have 4 minutes to go, but obviously we started late. So Max, we basically have just this single thing that takes a string and like it takes layout plus variant plus options, right? So like, for example, I use compose caps because I think caps lock is useless, and I have no other key that's useless on my keyboard that can be a compose key. So that's my that's my and anyway. So being able, you have to wire up. We have to wire up this setting through Miracle to be so that from Miracle you can call this that I'm updating this config option, right?
Yeah. And apparently that has a setter on it, but when I called it, it broke my thing. I didn't investigate it deeper than that, though.
You know, there's thread over threads, and there may just not be a synchronization point. There it may be, you know, it may be something that you set and it just doesn't get updated where it gets read. So like.
Right.
We never supported updating it live, so that's why.
Okay. Try that. Simple.
But yeah, like but like why we went on the tangent about systemd user sessions is like XDG desktop portal is, I believe, a part of graphical session or graphical of the graphical target on the user systemd, right? So that's probably the best thing to start. And then you get like auto start, by the way, which if you drop a desktop file into .config auto start, then it just works and it all starts in the same environment.
And we don't have to write custom code for this.
Exactly.
So like I found this while we were talking about this, I went and did some searching and I found this Sway services thing, which is like the closest to this that I think we would want. I don't want to just straight up rib this, but like I think this would be an inspiration for us to have our own implementation that either A is just it starts out just being miracle focused, and then B, we could move it to being something that any mirror-based compositor can then easily adopt as a framework to plug in their things. Because yes, we need this because I would like things to be working. I am getting there though. Things are starting to work.
Yay.
All right. Okay, and then what's left on our agenda is any other business. And the one thing that I wanted to mention here, you all know, but maybe somebody that watches this later doesn't. Ubuntu Summit is in October, November, and it's closed. People have sessions. So Neil, you have a session with Alan there on.
Yes, I do. It happened. I wasn't sure it was going to happen, and then like I got guilted into it, and now I'm going.
Yeah, so we'll see you there. I don't think the full agenda is public yet, but yeah, at least the submissions I think should be there. So yeah, check out summit.ubuntu.com and we'll see you there. I'm told there should be 1,000 people this time. So
holy crap, that's a lot.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so who of you, aside from Alan, who I know is going to be there, who of you are going to be there? Yay! We're going to meet everybody.
Yeah.
It's going to be, it's like, oh, let's see, what is it? It's 2024. When was the last time I saw all of you? Was, oh my gosh, it's been 8 years since I've seen the whole Mir team together. Holy crap.
yeah.
The last time was October 2016.
Ooh, the last UDS probably, right?
No, it wasn't a UDS. Although I don't know if it was retroactively called a UDS, but
okay.
it was a Snap/Ubuntu rally thing.
Okay.
And that was when we all got the news that Mir needed to become a Wayland compositor. It was going to die in a fire. I think it was Alan and Chris and I had a conversation about it, and that's when I started working on packaging Mir for Fedora. So Fedora has actually had Mir in its repositories ever since then. It's been 8 years.
Oh,
don't do this, Neil. I told you at the beginning of this meeting. All right.
I'm excited though. We're gonna have some cool stuff to show off.
yeah.
Yeah, we will. Good. Anything else?
Nope. I wanted to thank you guys for doing such amazing work so far. It's been a joy to work with y'all on this Mir and Miracle stuff, especially this year where we've made so much amazing progress and we have an actual thing that people can see the Mir on. And it'll hopefully not suck by the time we reach October.
It's good that I'm going on a 2-week vacation in the middle of September, but I'll be.
Oh no! Don't do that. Can you move it? Can you move it to the end?
No. That's a good thing because then Neil, you can be his boss for those 2 weeks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, true. You can have me, Dan.
It's a different.
Oh yeah.
drama.
There we go. All righty then. Those 2 weeks, I will make you do everything.
I'll be about 6 hours behind you time zone though, so I could always be like, oh no.
6 hours behind. So where are you going?
Hawaii.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Don't burn.
Don't burn.
Take lots of sunscreen.
It's hurricane season, so ish.
I mean, don't drown too, but like don't burn. Both of those. But have fun in Hawaii.
Yeah, I'll have fun. It'll be my it'll be the Miracle office in Hawaii for 2 weeks.
Yes.
Okay.
But
thank you all. I'm gonna stop the recording now, and we'll see you in roughly 4 weeks then.
Yeah.
Cool.